Welcome to Recovering Addict. My name is Jake, and I am a recovering substance user. Uh, Long history of trauma, long history of drug use, long history of incarceration. Uh, been working my program. Was with. I lost it. Yeah, I've been working my program, and here we are. It's Thursday night. Tonight's going to be a little bit different. I think I announced it a couple weeks ago when we did The Truth, had him on. Tonight we have Mo, member of the Discord, long time, lives in Florida, and we're going to hear her story. So let's bring her on right now and get into it. Get to it. Hey Mo, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So we can.
I could just start it.
Yeah, let's just do that.
Okay. So hi. Okay.
When you were. Okay, continue. Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Mo, and I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is 12/28/16. I'm originally from New York City, but came to Florida to get sober, and I've been here almost 5 years.
Right on. So, what are you doing right now?
Right now, I'm sitting in my room about to tell my story on this show.
Well, I meant like in your life. Like where are you at?
In my life?
Right now in your life. Yeah.
Right now, I'm a house manager in my halfway that I've been here 4 years. It's called Solaire. It's in Florida. I'm a full-time nanny. I do service work every day, all day. I never say no. I sponsor women. I have a sponsor who has a sponsor. And, like I just try to tell everybody, like, it's not worth it, like going out there doing drugs and drinking, like you got to get connected to your higher power, whoever your higher power is. Like my higher power, I never had a relationship with God until I came into this program. But today I have a relationship with God.
Okay. Right on.
So, yeah, it's good.
So let's start at the beginning. When you were a kid, like how was your childhood?
It was kind of rough. Like my mom came off the boat from Ireland when she was like maybe 20, 21 years old. Met my dad. So we'll get into that. Met my dad. He's a New York City cop. He was a New York City cop. And my dad was a full-blown alcoholic. And he was a cop, and he had to retire early or he was going to lose his pension. My whole father's side of the family are either alcoholics or addicts. And I remember growing up, basically in an Irish family. There was always a party. There was always alcohol. There was drugs around, whatever. My dad, after he retired from the police force, he worked in a bar. So at the age of 6 years old, at the age of 7, I just remembered this. At 5 years old, I climbed up to the medicine cabinet, and my sister was like 3, and I ate all the Bear aspirin, St. Joseph's Bear aspirin, and I would throw them down to my sister. And that's like my earliest remember that I have now, because I blocked so much of my childhood out. At the age of 7 years old was my first drink. And I like the taste of, it was beer. So I like the taste of it. My house was very dysfunctional growing up. I have a lot of trauma in my childhood. I was sexually molested at the age of 6 years old. And then it happened till I was all the way to I was 13. So, and then I tried to commit suicide at the age of 12. I took a knife to my stomach, and I was in and out of mental hospitals from the age of 12 years old to I was 16 years old. So, but I went to a good place when I was 14 years old. I went to a great place in Pennsylvania, and this doctor, he didn't believe in medication. And when I got there, I was on 1,000 1,000 milligrams of Thorazine 4 times a day.
Wow.
So yeah, so I didn't know who was coming or what was going, but I had a lot of anger build up inside of me. I never talked about what was going on. I always cut. Like if I cut myself, I felt that pain release, and I was a cutter. And then I would hang myself too. Like it was nothing.
Like, so it was like cutting, like one of your first go-to coping mechanisms, or?
Yeah, it was one of my go-tos. Yep. So like now I'm getting like my sleeves done on my arms, so I have a lot of scars, like so it hurts, when you tattoo over the scars. But
Yeah.
no pain, no gain, so but I mean it's a reminder of what I don't want to do, I suffer from depression from my early childhood, but like growing up, my mom and dad they separated when I was at the age of 12 years old, and I took it hard because when my dad was drunk, my mom was always fighting with him, and my brother and sister would run out of the house. I would stay there to either protect my mom or my dad. It was depending who was fighting who or who was getting beat up. But I remember this one time, my dad was choking my mom, and I took my dad's police cup and I cracked him in the head with it, and I gave him 6 stitches in his head. So my mom couldn't take it no more, and she left my dad. So, and then I ran wild as a kid. Like I got kicked out of Catholic school in 4th grade. I threw a cookie at a nun. Um, at 12 years, 11 years old, I hung a girl from a flagpole. Like you couldn't talk about moms back in the days, and the girl was talking about my mom, and it was 2 days before my graduation, and I hung the girl from a flagpole,
Oh,
and they,
wow.
yeah, so, but growing up, like always stayed with my grandmother, my dad's mother, and because my mom worked 3 jobs, and so my dad worked at the bar. I would go there, to go see him and everything. So he was always drunk. So I always got away with things. I'd be like, if I can go here, I can go there. I can do whatever I want. But when my mom came home, it was a totally different story. It was strict. It was like you do or you don't, you know. And I didn't live at home from the age of 12 till I was 17. I was in and out of the hospitals. And but I was always drinking, hanging out with my friends, being a bully, beating up my little sister. Like I told her, if she ever told my mom or anybody, I would, I had a spatula and I would burn her with it, And then I got out of the hospital, and my mom was like very controlling, so I didn't want to go live with my mother. I wanted to go live with my dad, and I moved upstate New York with my dad, and at that time he was in treatment. He became a counselor. He had 2 years sober, and I met his girlfriend, and that didn't work out. So I ended up staying at the rehab with my dad, and so I knew about AA my whole entire life. I went to adult children Al-Anon growing up, but me ever thinking I was an alcoholic, never. So I stayed with my dad, and I got a job, and eventually I moved in with his girlfriend, and I started drinking, and me and her would get into fights and everything like that. And I was like, "You ain't my mom's, like you can't tell me what to do." Like my dad, so my dad would like just be like try to separate us, and I found out my dad had cancer, and I was 19 when he passed away, and she ended up kicking us out and took my whole dad's pension and left. And we went back down to New York, me and my little sister. And I I stayed with my mom for a little while, but I couldn't live with her because she was just so controlling. So it was me, my sister, my best friend. We all moved into an apartment, and every night I it was a party in my house. And my brother at that time opened nightclubs, regular nightclubs up in North. And I used to fight a lot, always fought. And my brother's like, "Oh, you want to fight? You'll become a female bouncer." I said, "Oh shit, female bouncer! I could drink for free." It was a great gig for me. It was great, and I would work and I would drink, work, drink, work, drink, work, drink. Never to this day, I never thought I had a drinking problem. You know, as life went on, and then my brother started opening strip clubs, and basically I worked in a nightclub life for 27 years, and every night was a party, and I ended up getting pregnant. Oh, so I met my son's father. We were together for 17 years, and I got pregnant with my little boy, and at 6 months old, he passed away. Um, to right now, I'm dealing with it. Before, I never dealt. I couldn't deal with it. I numbed myself with drinking, and a month later, he got killed in front of me. Um, and I drank, and I blew up to 430 pounds, and then I had the gastric bypass, and I couldn't eat food. Like literally, I couldn't eat no food, and I drank and drank, and my alcoholism got really bad, but I still didn't think I had a problem, and my family was like, "Oh, you're drinking a lot," and I'm like, "You don't know what you're talking about. My brother drinks. You don't say nothing to him." You know, I was popping mollies. I was doing all crazy stuff. I was popping like 13 mollies a night in the club, and no problem. You know, and I would drink. And I remember one night it was Super Bowl Sunday, and I had a bet with one of my friends, and I did 150 shots of SoCo Lime, and he did 150 shots of tequila. But I ate butter, and he didn't make it. Like he was passed out, and for me, I was still going. And after a while, there's so many guns. My club started getting crazy, and I was like, "I'm done. I can't do this no more." Woke up one morning, and I said, "I quit." To my brother, "I'm not doing this no more." So I ended up quitting the nightclub life, and I sat home and I drank every night. I became a closet drinker, and I didn't think anything was wrong. And my mom was like, "Oh, you're." I ended up moving back here with my mother. You know, my sister got married and she had kids, and then my brother got married and he has a daughter. And I ended up moving back with my mom, and shit was crazy. Like she tried to live my life through my time, and it was rough. She was mentally, emotionally abusive towards me, and I just couldn't take it. We used to fight all the time, and she used to put her hands on me, and I would never put my hands back on her. And I ended up leaving, and I moved back upstate New York, and I broke into my sister's Facebook account, and I found out they're going to do an intervention on me. So I ran further upstate, and my sister called me and tricked me and told me my mom was sick. And I came back down, and they're like, "Oh, you got to go to detox." And I'm like, "I'm not going to detox. I'll detox right here in the house." And that was the worst thing I ever did in my life with my mother. So it was pretty bad. And I used to work for my brother doing advertising on for his clubs, and it was payday. And I went outside. It was dead winter, and I had a Carhartt on, and I taped the bottles of liquor around me. And by that time, I was drinking 5 gallons of vodka a day, plus 36 beers a day. And one day I got really drunk, really bad, don't remember nothing. And I had my niece and my nephew with me. And I passed out, and I don't know how I got home. I know my driver picked me up. By that time, I didn't have no driver's license, nothing. Everything was taken away from DUIs and everything like that. And I woke up, and my mom and my sister were there, and then my sister was like, "You're going to detox," and I was like, "I ain't going to detox. I'm leaving." And my mother's like, "You're not." I said, "I'll jump out the window." Like, and I was dead, didn't want to go. I said, "The only way I'll go is if you go get me a case of liquor, a case of beer, and you tell her not to say nothing to me, my mother." And I'm saying in good English because it was not like that. And she's like, "Okay," and I drank everything. And that Monday morning, I uh, I got up and I went to detox. And when we got there, they said they had no beds available. I said, "I'm out." And my sister's like, "Sit down." And I went into detox for 7 days. And then from there, I went to a rehab. But it was nothing fancy. It was more like a mental hospital like thing. And I stayed there for 31 days. And they told me that I was going to Florida. I said, "Florida? That wasn't part of the package." I fought hands and nicks about it. But then they showed me this place, and it was called Banyan. And I went there, and it was supposed to be halfway, but it wasn't halfway. It was another IOP. For 2 months, I did it. And, I was so mad. But now I can say I was mad at myself. Everybody was like, "Oh, you're strong, you're strong." I was like, "I'm not strong, I'm weak." And they're like, "Nah, you're not weak, you're strong." And I'm like, "Don't say that word to me." And I fought so hard in that place. Like, if they told me I would get kicked out of groups because I was angry. I didn't want to face the truth. And I started writing poetry. And there I started reading what's that book? The some Jesus book. And that's when I finally got back in touch with God. And I called my sponsor and I told her about it. And she was like, "Oh, you read it?" And I was like, "Shh, I don't have to make a big thing about it." And she ended up buying me the book. And I started reading it every day. And I started praying to God. And I was like, step one, I'm powerless. Step two, I came to believe. Like, I had to do that. And then I ended up going to this other halfway. I was there for 9 months, and I found out my best friend from up north died of a heroin overdose. And I got into a fight with my mom that day, and I was like, "You know what? Fuck this." Oh, excuse my language. I said, "Forget this." I went back out and I drank. I stopped taking my meds. I stopped reaching out to people. I stopped going to meetings. I stopped doing everything that everybody told me to do. And I went back out for 5 days before they realized that I had drank. And I thought I was going to get kicked out, but I didn't. Um, and it was the best thing, like, I got up, went to the beach that morning, and I screamed, saying, "I surrender. I'm powerless over alcohol. I cannot do this without you." And I felt somebody tap my shoulder. I turned around, nobody was there. And I looked around and I got up and I picked up my white chip. And I ended up leaving that halfway. And I was kind of homeless for 3 days in the street of Pompano. And in my alcoholic mind, I was going back up north. And they told me, I went to go back, say goodbye to everybody in my treatment. And they were like, "Nah, nah, call this lady." And I was like, "Nah, I'm going back up north." I said, "Hold on a second." So I got my recovery Bible and I said, "God, let me know if I should go to this next halfway." And I opened up and it said, "Your new journey in life is going to begin." I said, "Call the lady." So I came here to this place, Solaire, and I was scared. I never had a home that I can call home. And this is my home. Like, I live, breathe, and eat here. Today, like, it was hard. Like, I stumbled, I fought, like, I celebrate my first anniversary here. My second was like, oh my God, I cried every commercial. I never cry. My third, yo, it was hard. My third anniversary, I lost so many people in this disease, like, in my entire life. Like, forget about it. And I just celebrated 4 years. I'm a full-time nanny to 6 beautiful kids. I do a lot of service work today. Um, I have 7 other women that I basically tell them how I got here, and they look up to me. And I'm into photography. I got my camera back out. I write poetry. I love to bake. I'm going to culinary school starting in March. Sorry about that. I'm going to culinary school. Basically that's some of my life story, and that's what I got for you.
So,
So,
like, and she's gone. Well, if you're still with us, Mo, I guess there she is. Pop back in. There you are. Lost you for a second.
yeah, my phone rang. Sorry. Yeah, my phone rang.
Oh, okay. Um, so that was a story. So, what got you into So we heard everything about your addiction and your alcohol and your violence and your cutting and just the nightclub scene. Like what motivated you into some of the other hobbies, like photography? Like what
I
lit
always
the fire?
What led me to that? That's a funny question. I always loved taking pictures, like especially like of nature. Like when I lived upstate, everything was like nature, and behind my dad's house, he had a waterfall, and I always wished that I could like go through that, like another different life zone, And just started. I picked up a camera one day, and I just started taking pictures, and I just fell in love with it. It's like what you can see through a lens, you can see through anything.
Oh yeah, like in Florida's got beautiful sunsets and the ocean and everything. Like I
Yes,
really enjoy what you post on the Discord.
I live 5 minutes from the beach, so I'm there every morning and every evening.
Oh yeah, and so how do you feel like when you're out there with your camera? Like
I
just
feel like I feel like I'm in a different world, like I'm free. Like nothing can bother me. Like I don't know, I can't explain it to you. It's just like this feeling like I know I don't think I take great pictures, but a lot of people say I do take great pictures, but it's a learning process. It's like steps, and like every step that I take, I'm taking a step more further, maybe into bigger, better things, Like I want to get under the water. Like when I go snorkeling, I have a camera to get under the water, and that's my next project.
oh yeah, so like it cravings are inevitable. Like
Oh, forget about it.
they happen. Like I had I can't call it random, but earlier this week I had one of those because I have a new stressor in my life right now. But like, how do you deal with like those triggers and those cravings? Like,
First, I pick up the phone, I call my sponsor, and I let her know what's going on, what led me to that. Um, or I'll meditate, I'll pray, ask God to take it away, or I'll write poetry. I love to write. So, or I'll just go for a walk. I'll put my music on. Um, or I'll try to take a nap, like just to block everything out. My head is still crazy. My head is crazier at night because I'm so busy during the day. It's when I'm trying to go to sleep at night, my head goes duh. So what I
Yeah.
usually do is I pray.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Ugh. I've
Tired.
I've had a long day, so
I get it.
yeah. You know, and so when you meet the newcomer, like, you know, you manage the halfway house that you're in now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So when you get
Yeah.
new,
I have. Okay, sorry.
so when you get a newcomer in the house, like, and like, you introduce them? Do you introduce them to the steps? Like, what does that look like?
Okay, so when a new girl comes in, first of all, they're scared because you got all these new people, and I usually ask them if they want coffee or a stove or a vape. You know, all the girls in my room call my room the bodega room because I got everything in here. Bodega's a store, candy store. I'll offer them a meal because I know how it felt when I came here. I had nothing, you know. I tell them, do you have? I ask them, do they have a sponsor? And if they don't have a sponsor, I have a lot of friends who are always sponsoring girls. See, I can't sponsor the women that live in my house, but I'll sit there and I'll talk with them. I'll tell them, look, you're worth it. Like I have my poem, it's up in my house that I wrote. You're worth it, and you matter. Don't let don't let your head get the best of you, you know? Like I'm here. My door is always open. I sleep with my door open, you know. Um, but I tell them when they do come in, they have to do 30 meetings in 30 days. So I'm like, do you want to go to a meeting? Because I'll go with you, just to show them that that there's people like me and other people in my house that will be there for them.
Yeah, to help disarm that fear or that
Yeah,
like initial reluctance to jump in head first.
yeah. Head first. Like you gotta make a meeting. Like I get a lot of girls that come off the street. They don't even go to treatment. They usually go like to a detox. They don't have money to go to treatment. So I get them girls like that come off the street, and I'm like, yo, you need clothes? Because I got clothes. You need food? I got food. You want some coffee? I got coffee. You want a hug? I'll hug you.
Oh yeah,
You
you know,
know,
and then
I know what it feels like to not to have nobody in your corner. I've been there. You know,
yeah, I've been there as well. Like I understand, like not the um, sober living. I've never been in a sober living or anything like that, but I know what it's like to not have anything and have to work your ass off for what you do have. But
yep.
like, so and then what? Like, you hook them up with a sponsor.
I hook them up
You
with a sponsor. I hook
you
them
go
up with
mom.
food stamps. Actually, this is what I do. I get them settled in the house first, right? And I show them their cabinet where, their food's gonna be. Then I hook them up to the computer in the house, and I hook them up getting started with food stamps. If the treatment center didn't do it yet, then I'll do it. Then I'll tell them they gotta go out and look for a job. Um, and then we'll just sit around, we'll talk. I'll get like a little background on them. I'll give them my story. Um, then I'll let them get settled for the day. Like we'll watch a movie, whatever they want to do. Like go in my backyard. We got a pool in my backyard. I just hooked up my backyard. Um, just be there for them so they don't feel that scared alone feeling.
Oh yeah, you know. And then what is a So, what does how do you go about sponsoring? Like when obviously you said you can't sponsor the girls that live in your house, but like how do you? What's the process that you go when you sponsor someone?
Well, we have meetings open here in Florida, but we have to wear a mask. So they, like my home group, they're like a willing sponsor. I'll raise my hand. So I take the girl. I usually tell the girl to text me every night 5 things she's grateful for, 5 things she loves about herself, and 5 things she's powerless over. I don't chase my sponsees. I make them chase their recovery. Just like my sponsor did to me. She didn't chase me. I had to chase her. If I was willing to get where she was at, I'm willing to run to her. So I tell my sponsees, check in with me every night. My phone's on 24/7. Then I take them through the steps. And then on your 5th step, we usually go to the beach at like 5:30 in the evening, 6, watch the sunset, and then they just lay it on me. I have 4 sponsees right now, so I'm kind of busy.
Yeah, that does sound like a lot.
Not
and then
a lot. 3 of them I went through their steps.
Right on.
Yeah.
And then well, look, no hat.
Oh.
So let's see. So you run them through the steps, and I got nothing. I forgot where I was trying to go with that. How was your first AA meeting? Like your personal first AA meeting? Like what was that like?
Well, my first AA meeting, I was drunk. I sat in the back. I was drunk. I don't quite really remember it, but my first sober AA meeting, I sat up front. It was a speaker meeting, and she was my sponsor. She's not my sponsor now, but she's the first one to take me through the steps. And I remember I asked my tech, I'm like, I need a sponsor because they're trying to give me another sponsor. And she was like, I was like, nah, I don't want her. I want her. And she's like, he was like, you don't care about age? I was like, nah, as long as she got sobriety and she could take me through the steps, I'm willing to do that. And she had 2 years sober and she took me through the steps, but then I ended up relapsing. And she wasn't so much about God. And that's where I needed to be. Like, I needed to have that relationship with God. So my second sponsor that I had, she brought me through with God, like got me really, really connected. But my first AA meeting sober, it was good. I met a lot of people. I raised my hand that I'm a newcomer. I'm from out of town. I don't know anybody. I need new friends, sober friends. But I felt alone. But that towards the end of the meeting, I felt good, I wasn't used to that I love you thing because I didn't even love myself at that point. How are you going to tell me you love me? I had a hard time with that. Like talking about I love you. It took me a long time to start loving myself. In the last year, I started loving who I am. I try to figure out who I was without picking up that bottle, Like,
yeah.
I was trying to figure out who Mo was. I know I'm a good-hearted person. I'm caring, sometimes too caring. I'll go for the back for anybody. Like, I'll take my shirt off the back for anybody. But what would I do for myself? That was a hard question, They talk about self-care. I didn't know what self-care was. The only time I took care of myself was when I had that gastric bypass. That was 10 years ago, you know? And today, I take care of myself. Today, I'm working on, with my sponsor, I'm doing a self-love workbook. And because I never really dealt with anything, because a lot of it was childhood trauma, you know? And I didn't know anything about low self-esteem, high self-esteem. And I suffered from really big low self-esteem. You know, I didn't think I was pretty. I thought I was always ugly. And when people tell me, oh, I was beautiful, I was like, yeah, all right. You're just saying that, you know. But today I know I'm beautiful. You know, I love myself. I can wake up and say, I love you. You know, I love me. You know, and when people tell me that they love me, I can say, I love you back. It took me a long time to say, I love you back to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Self-love is important. How is that? So like you mentioned something about that, like that, going on that journey of self-discovery to figure out who the fuck Mo is. Like, how was that? Like, what steps did you
Yeah.
take to discover who you were? Like,
I had to take all of them. Like, I was powerless over beating myself up. You know, like not powerless. Like I had to sit with myself, and I hated sitting with myself, you know, like my sponsor made me sit with myself one day for like an hour, and I was actually going crazy. Like they locked me in my room, first of all, and I had to sit in front of a mirror and say, "Hi, Mo, you're beautiful." I looked at the mirror and I was like, "What up, Mo? You're beautiful." I didn't feel anything. Like I felt numb inside, you know? And I think it was the fourth and fifth step with myself that I had to get all that hurt that I've been through as a child, losing my son, losing my husband, you know, all that, because I was angry at God for a long time for taking three important men in my life away from me: my dad, my brother, my dad, my husband, and my son. So I thought it was my fault, you know, like God was punishing me. So I always said I hated myself and I would never love me. And I had to come to realize it wasn't my fault, you know, like it was out of my control. And
what did it take
I
to forgive
actually
yourself?
I had to cry.
You had
I
to
had to
allow
cry.
yourself to cry. Because you sort of strike me as that.
I had to cry.
You strike me as sort of a tough old broad that refuses to cry.
Right. I don't
You
cry
know.
now. Like it's hard for me to cry. I gotta watch some commercial. But yeah, I cry.
Oh
It's
yeah.
hard, but I cry.
You know. So that was
It
when you
takes a lot
forgave
for me to
yourself,
cry.
when you cried.
Yeah. When I cry, when I let all that anger and pain and everything out of me, like I got everything out. It was like a fifth step, like with just myself.
Wow.
And then when I made amends to myself, like the eighth and ninth step, like you know how we have to make amends to everybody that we hurt through our journey, and we're not supposed to say sorry because we said sorry so much through our addiction. Like, sorry, I'll never do it again. Sorry, I'll never drink. I had to say to myself, I'm worth it. I had to say to myself, beautiful, I matter. Um, I had to say goodbye to all my pain. Um, and I deserve to be happy. Why still be mad sober? Why still beat up myself when I'm sober? You know, it's not worth it. I have to live for me. 4 years and still angry, that's gonna take back out, you know? So I gotta let it go. Let go, let God. Whatever I can't handle, I'm gonna give.
You froze there for a little bit on my screen, so we're just waiting. That's a big deal. Like, so you forgave you made amends to yourself in your 9th step, and
Yeah.
like, how did I love you too, baby? There's Drake. Cherie wants you to say hi. She didn't say it, but she always requests a hello.
Hello.
Lean in.
Hi.
Hello. Hello.
So,
Hi.
so Melissa says it took me a long time to even look in the mirror. I couldn't bear to look at myself and my addiction. Absolutely hated myself and the things I had done. So you said that you're recently processing the death of your son. Like, so I'm sorry to cycle back to that. Like,
Yeah.
how are
Through
you
therapy.
coping with that? Like,
Okay. So I see a therapist once a week. I've been seeing her for about 3 years. We do EMDR, where we go back and because I had blocked a lot out, and the human process. Like, this is kind of hard to deal with. Okay, so I I cry. I just started crying for losing him. His name is Trey. He was 6 months old, and I never. So basically, I'm a nanny. So I'm healing through taking care of other children. So, like, I didn't do that. I didn't want to become a nanny, but I love kids. Um, so I talk to my therapist like every time a child gets sick, and I'm scared because I feel like the child is going to pass away. So I freeze up, and she's like, I have to do breathing exercises, or I can't explain it to you, but it's a healing process. Like, I just started really dealing with it now, but it's a lot. But I'm doing good, like I'm not holding anything in. Actually, I'm in the process of writing a poem to my son. Um, I still have his blanket. I sleep it every night. I actually gave his first pair of sneakers away um, to the little boy that I take care of now. So holding on to things like my son's father, I have all his favorite sweatshirt. But since I lost all the weight, I don't fit into his clothes anymore. You know, and I had to start letting go of those things. But I won't throw away a sweat, the one he passed away in. I can't let it's been washed and everything like that. I, I'm I'm not ready to let that go. You know, um, but time. We check back like in a year from now. Like, I can tell you how the process is going,
could is
but it's a slow process. It hurts.
Does being a nanny help? Like, cause you had your baby
Yeah.
boy and you lost your baby boy,
I
and
take
now
care of
you're
6 kids.
yeah, then that helps.
I'm like, they call me. Yeah, that helps. They call me the nanny whisperer out here. I watch all the recovery kids, like all the parents that are in recovery, and they go to work, and I watch their kids. But no, not all at once though. I have 6 kids that I watch. I have a set of twins. They're 4. Then I have a brother and sister. They're 3, 2, and then I have 2, 4. I have a little girl. She's 20 months, and then I have a baby. He's 5 months. So right now it's the boy that I'm constantly with, and he's 5 months. So yeah,
Is that hard? Like, is that emotionally difficult for you?
it's hard.
Just the age of
It's
the
hard.
like
Yeah,
when you're caring for the 5-month-old,
hard.
like,
But I get,
do you spoil the 5-month-old?
I give him all the love that I would have gave my son. Oh yes, I spoil all the kids. Today I just spent like $50 for clothes for him, and his mother's like, "Stop buying clothes," and I'm like, "I can't. It's so cute." But yeah, I spoil all the kids. They're all spoiled.
Yeah,
They're all spoiled.
that's I don't know. I love kids. You see my boys pop in occasionally, and I got nieces and
I love them.
nephews. You know,
My niece
like,
and nephew are back up north, so I only get to FaceTime my niece and my nephew.
so what's your future look like? Just continue in the halfway house. Like, any plans for the future? Like, you're in therapy. You're doing EMDR. For those who don't know, it's eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy. Like, are you doing any other trauma modalities to overcome the histories of abuse and everything else?
I'm gonna go to culinary school in March.
And what was that? Like, there was a
That
little bit of
freeze.
distortion.
I'm gonna start culinary school in March.
So Melissa here has said that she's wanted to try EMDR. Would you be willing to talk about your experience with that specifically? Like, not necessarily like but just like that process that EMDR takes. Just for those who may not be aware of it, do you use the tactiles? Do you use the vibrating pads, or is it like the lights, or is your therapist wave their hand, or how do they pendulate?
No, it's the hand. It's the vibrator first, and then it's like the hand, and then you go like it's. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Do you hear me? Okay. It's session so far. So, it's the hand. So it's really weird how they do. You sit. Yeah, I sit in a chair. I don't because a lot of people usually lay down and everything, but not me. I sit in a chair, and visualizing, and I go to when my son was sick. My son had heart defect problems, and we go back to the day where he passed, is where I had struggled the most, because my son died in my arms. So it's like, I can't explain it to you. It's kind of, I can decide if I can do it in chat, but if you want. You hear me?
You sort of broke up there a little bit.
Yeah, it keeps freezing over here.
Is that better? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Mode. There you go.
There. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
So, you froze again.
I don't know what's going on.
So, you sit in a chair, talk about
chair, and then talk about, and today, yeah, and I've only had 2 sessions so far. I only just started this, so it's kind of like difficult. Like, so I like the room dark, like I don't like.
So you like the room dark? That was the last thing that I heard. Why did I drop out? What are you doing? You dropped me out. He's just back there smirking in the background.
She keeps muting herself.
Oh.
And she's got bad connection anyway. But we lost her.
Oh, we lost. So, all right. Well,
here we are.
for the people that were asking about EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy, it has a couple of different methods. There's some that use these little handheld pads that will vibrate left and right or however. And so as you're talking about trauma, it'll switch hands, the vibration. And it is because like it uses a method of pendulation. So as you're experiencing trauma, it gets put into your short-term memory, right? So you're in a constant state of hypervigilance, hyperarousal, because you are constantly re-experiencing your trauma because it's right there in the front. What EMDR does is it pendulates. And as you're talking about it, it allows you to take the memory, remove it from short-term into long-term memory so that it's no longer something that is happening to you. And it allows your nervous system to calm down enough so that it is now something that has happened to you so that you can process the emotions, so that you can process the scene without the emotion. there's another method called ART, Accelerated Response Treatment, that is sort of similar. It uses pendulation. You talk about, you come up with in your head, you talk about a scene, or you talk about your trauma, and then you are, as the process carries forward, you are asked to rewrite the scene, to come up with a conclusion that is satisfying to your mind as they wave their hand in front of your face. Like, I'm not so sure that I like the script writing of it. Like, it doesn't really, like, ART is just, it's different. It doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't work for me necessarily, but like EMDR is, it's fantastic. Like in numerous psychology books that I've read, it's thorough and it's effective. You know, so you know, and like I can recommend all kinds of books, like The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. Phenomenal read, talking about how trauma is stored in the body. Like, I have to think about the examples I give, because some of them are pretty serious, and like I'm like excited about them, but not in like because I find them to be interesting. So they have connected autoimmune diseases to, well, not all of them, but they have conducted studies that people with rape histories with an incest factor are more likely to develop an autoimmune disease. Like, that's wild. That's wild to me, because just that betrayal by a caregiver, it tends to turn the body against itself because of shame and things. And you know, I'm not like, I could be misrepresenting the information slightly, but see, John knows what I'm talking about. Like, it goes into what was that? John's read the book Somatic Experiencing, EMDR. Does it mention neurofeedback in The Body Keeps the Score, John? Can you remember? And then there was another one. It was like there was the theater. There was a theater. Crap. Give me a hand here, John. You've read the book. What was the theater portion of it? So, but what has been your experience with EMDR, Mo? Like, what did that feel like? You know, like, not necessarily, we don't need to necessarily talk about the trauma that you were going through, but like, as you were going through the process, like, how did you feel in your body?
I felt weird. Like, I felt the pain. I felt disconnected. You know, like, to feel what I felt before, like all that pain that I felt before, and now not to feel what I'm supposed to feel. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. You have, I don't wish nobody to go through it, you know, because it's a hard process to deal with, but you have to be ready to deal with it, especially with like the trauma and the losing a child, you know, like never dealing with that pain before, just keep blocking things out, you know. And like, I'm dealing with a lot of childhood drama too, you know, like being sexually molested at a young age, you know, like I blocked that out, you know, like, so it's a lot. But I'm willing to do what my therapist says to do, you know. I know
Yeah.
I cried the second time, you know. I came out crying. But it felt good to cry because that's what I'm supposed to feel. Because I never dealt with it before,
Yeah.
you know. So,
Well, that's good.
but it was good. I mean, I have my next session is Monday, so that'll be my third session.
Right on.
So I'll let everybody know how that session goes.
Yeah. Post in the
You
Discord, like in the So I created that room. What are you doing for your recovery on the Discord? And for anybody in the chat that might not be aware of the Discord or a part of the Discord, LT, if you'll drop a link into the chat, like that'd be appreciated. It's an online community, the recovering addict server on Discord, where you can go 24-hour support. We have people, you know, all across the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, you know, Cherie and Dez and Sober Rob, all those folks are in Australia. Like, if you're struggling and just need somebody to talk to, you can always jump on a Discord pretty much 24 hours a day, since we are a global phenomenon now, and get the support that you need. You know, and then we also have fun. We have like meme battle room. We have the selfies, you know, do accountability selfies and things like that, you know. So there's just, there's a lot. And then I think we still have a library in there. I believe Melissa was asking for suggested literature or something like that. Right there. You guys have suggested literature. Melissa Rodowski, are you in the Discord? Yeah, so, you know, down here, you know, what are you doing for your recovery? Poetry writing. You know, this could be where you you know, if you do want to follow up with your next session and let us know how it went and how you felt, drop it in there. You know, we got people, you know, doing their step 4, how that's going. We got poetry, selfies, all that type of stuff. So, you know, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I put my poetry in there already.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, Melissa, we do have a library room in there. I've posted a few screenshots of books that I've listened to. I'll throw Body Keeps the Score and a couple of the other trauma books. There's a couple by Peter A. Levine that are really interesting and that I found very useful. So I'll take care to get those dropped into the Discord. But we are moving into the 9 o'clock hour. I believe that there is a meditation Zoom meeting afterwards. So I think, you know, unless you have something else for the big wide internet, Mo, call this to a close. Do the Serenity Prayer real quick.
Yep. Moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer for all those still sick and suffering, still waiting to come into these rooms. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
The courage.
Accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
So, remember, don't put yourself in high-risk situations. Stay strong. Work your program. And remember, we recover better together.